What's going on, everybody? Coach Stefan here. I'm the owner of Pursue Elder Performance, and I'm here with one of our clients, Jen. Do you mind introducing yourself, giving people a little bit of background, your career, home life, stuff like that, so they have some context when we get into our conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I'm Jen Kilday. I am a wife, a mother, I'm a veteran. I'm also a Phoenix firefighter. I have two boys, 7 and 10. My husband's a teacher, so it's crazy busy around here all
Yeah,
the time. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah, and Jen was actually one of our scholarship winners back last summer. If you guys don't know, every year we sometimes we do it in the summer, sometimes we do it in the winter, sometimes we do it 2 times a year. We give full and partial scholarships to our Everyday Hero community, just because we know that not everybody can invest, and she was one of our winners. She filled out an application, and obviously, look at her, badass mom, vet, firefighter, wife, like she does it all. So obviously, that's why you won. And you've been working. I remember you joined right when you were getting into fire, right?
Yeah. hmm
So I know one of the things we chatted about too is like, working online and how that was going to work for like days you're at the station and when you're at home. And, we do have a really big clientele in fire and LEO. And although they're different for sure, they have a lot of similarities
Yeah.
as far as like the shift work, stuff like that. And we have EMS too. So what, number one, I want to go over the positive. What were some big wins that you've had in the last, like, I mean, it's been about 8 months, 9 months. So
Yeah.
what are some big transformations that you've seen?
To be honest, like from the very beginning, first of all, it was Coach Mike. He is amazing.
Yeah.
And he really just listened to everything that I was going through, being in academy, coming out of academy, being on probation, knowing that life kind of flips upside down and
Yeah.
listen to what it was that I was needing. I was also working through some injuries. So just kind of making everything work for me to help me with my mobility and help me with strength training and just getting myself back to 100 so that I could continue to progress.
Yeah.
I lost inches, gained muscle mass, just really kind of dialed in all of my nutrition, making sure I was eating enough because I definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was tired all the time and I wasn't building muscle as much as I wanted to. And so we just kind of shored up all those different ends and it made it so easy because it was just accessible and I would show him what I had at the stations to work with because some stations have awesome gyms, some don't,
Yeah.
or he just made it really easy for me to follow, gave me stuff that I could do pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's part of the customization, right? We understand where you guys work and we know it's a little bit different. And so we have a really open line communication. Like you can reach out to your coach 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. You can send them pictures. We always say if like you're a new client, hey, send me what if you're like, I work at a Planet Fitness, okay, they're all the same. But obviously if you work out at a station, they're going to have different equipment. Some are a little more dinky, some are totally set up. And so we need to know. We have clients that travel and we're like, hey, where are you going next week? Oh, I'm going to go to this hotel. All right. What do they have? Call them. Like, we try to figure things out so you guys have something where you can build momentum and stay consistent. In the past, right? It would maybe be like, they don't have the equipment there. And so I'm not going to work out, or I'll just kind of like wing it. And if let's just say half the time you're at a different station, that's 50% of your workout. You're like just making it up as you go and not really being on structure. And then when you bring in like going to the academy, just being super physical all day and not eating enough, I'm sure you noticed your energy was probably not great. Performance starts to drop. And one
Mhm.
of the goals you had too that you shared with me before we jumped on was like you wanted to grow your glutes and your legs and
Ah,
but also you wanted to tone up. And that I think some women think, oh man, that's really hard. But you're able to do it. You're able to grow your glutes, get a booty, grow your legs, get stronger, increase your performance, right?
yeah,
You basically accomplish all of it.
I
So
did. Yeah.
that's a testament to you and the work you put in. And I think it's important too, because we have to say this. We do have people that come in that are at the beginning stages of fitness for sure. They're
Mhm.
wanting to get into fire, or maybe they're an EMT and they're kind of overweight. You're pretty fit before you came in.
Ah,
Like
Yes.
I would say so. Yeah, you had a really good baseline level of fitness, and that's
Mhm,
important because some of the women that are in our program right now, they're in fire. Same thing. I mean, again, there's a little bit of a spread, but
mhm.
I think some people think, well, I'm fit. I don't need a coach. I don't need a trainer. I'll just do it on my own. Like, what would you say to that person?
First of all, we can always be better.
For sure.
There's always room for improvements, and I think that was the really eye-opening thing for me was I thought I had it all handled. I was going to academy, like I was crushing my workouts, but there's so many different things that I wasn't realizing I was missing. Like the mobility, like I'm older coming into fire, so knowing that I have 25 years, I'm going to be 40 this year. I have a long career ahead of me,
Mhm.
and we all know that as you get older, it gets a little bit harder and you have to stay consistent. And mobility and stretching and all those things, like to build a good foundation for my career is super important. And I wasn't doing that. And I was, in essence, hurting myself. So,
Yeah.
learning how to warm myself up, learning how to make sure I take rest days. Like, I wasn't resting at all, like, never
Yeah.
resting, not eating enough. And then I was wondering why I was not building or maintaining or staying healthy or not getting injured. So,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that was the biggest thing.
No, for sure. And I think, for coaches, for tactical athletes, we see actually all those things
Hmm.
usually. And I get it. Like, I'm prior military, and I get the whole like, got to work hard, got to do the mission, got to grind. And I think we're mostly pretty type A, go, go, go people. And
Hmm.
so it is hard to kind of put the foot on the brake or even take it off the gas. But we see, I mean, I talk to hundreds of people, I think a month, and they're all everyday hero community first responders. God, I feel like everybody's injured. And some
Hmm.
of it happens on duty, but also when I go in and do a little bit of digging of like how they got injured, it's stupid, avoidable stuff for the most part. And it
Yeah.
usually comes to lack of physical preparedness. And you're like, but I work out, but you don't do any mobility. What did you do? Oh, I twisted when I was coming down the ladder, right? Some of them are freak accidents, but a lot of them I'm like, oh, you don't do any rotational stuff. You don't do any mobility. You threw out your back picking up a tissue. Like literally that happened to somebody. And I'm like, you do these like really stiff, bodybuilding style movements or maybe stair stepper. It's all, I get it. You're working hard, you're breathing your cardio, but it's all single plane stuff. There's not really much of a warm up. Most of the time you're in a rush. And it's like, if we could build a bigger base, we can avoid injuries because now
Yeah.
you're working around that injury, which is no bueno. It's harder to
Yeah.
train hard when you're injured. I know
Yeah.
that firsthand experience. I have a back thing, I have a shoulder thing. Again, one of them was a freak accident. Looking back, could I have probably led up to prevent that? For sure.
Mhm.
And then you talk about the performance thing. Most first responders that come to us are like, I want to be fit for duty and I don't want to let my team down and I want to perform well. But then they're eating like 1,000 calories a day and they're sleeping 5 hours a night. And it's like, oh man. Yeah, so I know you weren't on that extreme end, but you had some areas to improve. So I think that's important to kind of talk about. Now, the nutrition, I think, is a huge part. I kind of want to dive into that a little bit because that's probably the biggest barrier for this community. I know you guys are going to train, and I know when you train, you're going to train hard. I mean, obviously, you want to be on a structured program that's safe and has mobility,
Yeah.
but nutrition is a downfall. Where
Yeah.
were you with nutrition as far as like your knowledge and consistency before, and where are you now?
Um, I I would have like a general idea of like, okay, I need to eat. I used to don't laugh at me.
Just say it.
I used to think like, okay, I needed to be obviously in a caloric deficit, but I also like when I would work out, I wouldn't make sure I was having the protein, and I was just trying to eat the bare minimum so that I would lose weight when I was trying to gain muscle, which is crazy. So there was a lot
Mhm.
of ideas in my head that were absolutely incorrect that I got straightened out for sure. Um, understanding like that I need to adjust. I used to not want carbs because I
Yeah,
was afraid like, oh, I was going to get fat or whatever.
yeah,
So making sure that I had that balance, that I was eating enough protein. That was the hardest thing for me is meeting my
yeah,
protein goal. So I had to supplement. Um, if I wasn't meal prepping or if I'm at the station, I would supplement extra with protein shakes or whatever.
yeah.
But making sure that I did have enough carbohydrates because of my job. If we are working out, we do a skills course and then we get a fire, we're completely depleted of everything. So just making sure that I was eating what was going to work for me that day. Sometimes I would adjust it. If it was my rest day, I might not do as much carbs
Yeah.
or whatever. So it was just finding that balance of being okay with not having it just straight across the board. Like every day could be a little bit different and then
Yes.
finding what worked for me.
Yeah. I love that because what that shows me too is that you actually learned. You weren't just following orders,
Yeah.
right? Which is a huge thing. If whoever's listening to this, go listen to all our other client interviews, go ask our clients and tell everybody that I don't want to work with you guys forever. It's not the goal. I need to get you to that point where you're like, hey, look, I understand that when I eat carbs, they convert to glucose and glycogen, and they are my main fuel source. So on days where I need fuel, I'm eating more. On days where I'm at home and I'm chilling, I'm going to adjust it. And that helps me like be at a maintenance or maybe even a little bit of a deficit here, even though I'm eating more carbs and calories, but then less. And to me, it makes logical sense. I get it that people have these like beliefs on, maybe being scared of carbs or scared of fats and these things. But now you're to the point where you maybe don't even have to track all your stuff, but you
Mhm.
kind of know how to push and pull because you did track and you did, calibrate your eyeballs a little bit to like, oh, that's this much protein and is this much carbs. And now you can fuel your body properly because you're also in Arizona. So you need to be hydrated and fueled with
Right.
carbs and liquid all day, like maximal capacity, because you can deplete extremely quick when you're in gear and in the heat and oh man, brutal.
Absolutely.
So, so, so yeah, I mean, that's another thing people don't understand is like this community we work with. I love to just tell you guys in a way, hey, we're going to go really low carb and get you shredded really quick, but you have an actual job to do. And, you have to be safe at that job. You have to be willing to perform. There's a way that you can stay lean and get leaner. And I mean, you did it, right? You reduced
Yeah.
your body fat, you
Yeah.
gained muscle. And some people don't realize that you guys actually, for most of you, you can burn body fat, build muscle, and increase your performance within the same time frame without doing this super big cut or this super big bulk, right? You can kind of do like a body recomp, which is basically what you did, you
Yeah.
know, where your actual weight on the scale is not changing dramatically. But if you look at what your physique looked like and how you performed now, and where you were starting, you're like, wow, this is way different. My jeans are fitting different. I feel stronger. I feel like I have more like a base underneath me and all that stuff. So that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
what were what were some like, I mean, I know you were a scholarship winner, but it's still you made the decision to like fill it out and invest at least your time and effort into this program. Did you feel like you had a little bit of hesitancy like with the online thing? And I asked that because I think a lot of people are like, I didn't know if it was going to work. Like I've never done it before. I'd say 70% of our clients, this is their first online coaching experience. Do you feel like you
Yeah.
had a little bit of hesitancy, like if it would work for you?
I didn't,
Oh,
only
good, good.
because I was so busy and I was going so much that I already knew that I was invested. Like I knew what I wanted to do and I finally had the help to do it.
Yeah,
So for me, I think it was easier because I was able to touch base with my coach. I could message him. I would get to a station and be like, this is where I'm going to be for X amount of time. I would take a video, show him all my equipment, and be like, other than my skills courses, what do I need to do? And he would tell me and line it up. There's videos for every single workout that he
yeah,
had me do. So I could watch the form and, like, rinse and repeat, make sure I was doing it correctly and have everything online. And he had access to everything. And
yeah,
then if I took pictures, just the whole thing to me, given the fact that we're now in the stage of everything being online and
yeah,
being on our phones and
yeah,
having the easy access and him being so quick to respond, or hey, this is, I want to tweak this a little bit, like, hey, I'm losing a little bit of weight in inches but I don't want to lose my butt, so what do I need to do, and say less, and then he
yeah,
just would just adjust things just little bits, and
yeah,
huge difference. I mean, everybody loves to have somebody in front of them and to be able to have somebody show them. But if you have like a base, even if you don't have a base, the videos are so great because you see everything. So I wouldn't be hesitant about it. If anything, it just makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to go to a gym with somebody.
Yeah.
He's basically there on all the videos.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, no. I mean, that's good. I want you to be honest about, and it's a mix, right? Some people are hesitant, some people aren't. I mean, that's probably why you crush it even more because you're like, no, I already know that I need something like this. And look, I want you guys to understand this. If I thought that first responders needed in-person training, I would have just I mean, I'm a business owner, okay? I would have went all in. I know what works and doesn't work for this community. 600 plus clients later, the proof is in the pudding. Like,
Mhm.
I understand it would be near impossible for you guys to go meet a trainer on their schedule because you're going to want somebody good. And if you want
Mhm.
somebody good, they're pretty full and busy. Plus, it's substantially more expensive. Plus, they're not helping you on your nutrition. Plus, you got to go on their dime. And here's the thing, in-person trainers really do one main thing for the most part is they work you out. And I would go and argue and say that's the part you need the least help on, the actual watching you work out. Now, you do
Yeah.
need to know what to do and you need to know how to do it in the sets and the reps and the data. That's all there. The nutrition's all there. The communication's all there. And as a first responder, if you don't have a program that is adaptable, moldable, and adjustable, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Like this really rigid thing creates this all or nothing mindset. Like, yeah, when your schedule's perfect and nothing happens in life, great. I know you're going to crush it. But that
Yeah.
lasts about 5 days if you're lucky.
Mhm.
And so that's not good. That's, when I was in the military, I didn't even have as crazy a schedule, but I worked shift and I was on days and swings and nights and I had a kid and man, and my wife at the time was working and I just had to have something that was consistent. Like I still worked out X amount of days, but I was super flexible. I just knew like, hey, I have this goal. I need to stick to it. And that's the same process we use with people. And I'm glad you talk about the customization because for our one-on-one clients, we try to give as much as possible a very white glove service. Like, hey, what do you need? What's the adjustments like? And here's the thing, you guys, first responders, it is not your job to know what we know. I don't know basically anything about fire from the brain that you have, right? Or a law enforcement. And my wife's a nurse, so I know a little medical, but not even close to what she knows. And I mean, that's not your job, right? Like
Yeah.
our job is to know when you say, I want to grow my glutes, but this is blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, we use our brain and we move and mold and right. Like that's our job. And what I don't want, and I think a lot of people do this, is you sit in this spot and we think, oh, what am I going to do today? And should I eat this? And blah, blah, blah. And you don't actually know. You're just kind of piecing information that you saw on like YouTube or Instagram. And oh, well, my buddy at the station's pretty fit. And he told me this one time. So I ordered that and I kind of and it's just this Frankenstein of things.
Yeah.
And I commend the effort. I do. I know you're trying. But until you get on something that is actually structured and has a little bit of science-based proof behind it, and you can say, yeah, this works for me. Like I'm telling you, I feel this works for my schedule. And then obviously we have data to back it up, right?
Sure. Mhm.
How your genes fitting. To me, that's data. It's a measurement. You know,
Huge. Yeah.
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 How is your cardio? How is your strength? I mean, this is things we can tell within the app too when we see, hey, you're using 30-pound dumbbells, now you're using 35s, 40s.
Mhm.
Okay, you're getting stronger. Plus, we have our weekly check-ins where we can ask you, hey, how's your sleep? How's your stress? How's your food cravings? We make you hold yourself accountable by having you fill out a form. Like,
Right.
rate yourself. How are you? If you're not doing great, what needs to change? So it's a very hands-on program. And I do think the people that are scared of online assume it's, and I have to break these beliefs, but it's like, here's a program, have fun.
Mm.
Like, here's
Yeah.
the exercise program. Be like, oh, I just can go to Pinterest. I go, that's the least important part of what we do. It's the coaching, which takes an experienced human,
Yeah.
right? Like that's it. You could read all the books you want about psychology, but going and actually talking to a trained professional, probably night and day different, right? To
Right.
actually talk to somebody and give them real life feedback. So, I'm more than honored to have given you the scholarship. You've crushed it. You put in a lot of work. Coach Mike had a lot of good things to say about you. Um, and again, you have a busy life. You have a lot going on, and you're still managed to train and eat. I guess the last thing I wanted to touch on is maybe some people might think, all right, well, this lady's a machine. She probably trained 7 days a week and just ate chicken, broccoli, and rice, which is
No.
not true. But
No.
do you feel like it was an extreme program? Because I think people might assume that we just make you be like really restrictive with your nutrition and train all the time.
No, I actually loved the fact that Coach Mike saw what I was doing, and I would send him my workouts, or I would tell him what I was doing. Because we'd be at stations, we work out together. And so I'd be like, hey, maybe this, that's what I did really love about being online. Let me like kind of digress a little bit, is I have access to my schedule. And so he would put it in days that maybe I said I was available. But if for any reason I was going to be at work and we were going to do a like a hit training
Mhm.
together or
Yeah.
a CrossFit training together, I could move my days.
Yeah.
So I could move my days and be like, this is what I did today. So he knew what it was I was doing. But then I would do my leg day the next day at the gym where I had access to everything, which would make it easier for me.
Yeah.
If I needed a rest day, there was a couple play days in there for me that I was like, oh man, I didn't sleep. I was a stand up 24. I did a skills course, I did a workout, and I'm just completely depleted and I have nothing left to give. Maybe I'll go sit in the sauna and I'll go for a walk or go for a hike, but I could use that as my rest day. And I was just communicating what that looked like to my coach so he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Um, I thought
Yeah.
it was I thought it was awesome. There was nothing like super restrictive about it. I still felt the same motivation to do everything because I knew I was checking in with my coach.
Yeah.
And I knew he'd message me and be like, okay, so you've been a little MIA this week. What's
Yeah.
happening? There's a couple times I would do my workout and I'd be at the gym, see somebody on my way out and not complete my workout, but everything was in there and was done. So it's just super flexible and super chill. And Mike was awesome. And I don't know, I had such a great experience. And I would
Yeah.
say if anybody's on the fence, like just don't hesitate, just jump in because it was probably the best choice that I made in that learning experience in the beginning of my career to give me that push on what I needed to shore up to continue my journey.
Yeah. I love that. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say consistent but flexible,
Yeah.
right? You're setting boundaries, but the boundary isn't a hair, it's a toothpick. It's a little wider, right? Like we do want to hold ourselves accountable, but things come up, like you just said. And if you can't change it at all and there's no push, I would say that setting somebody up for failure. And,
Right.
I think that if you have a little bit of, and the reason I say that is if you guys, you look at the fitness coaches probably and you're like, wow, I want to be really fit like that. That's literally what we do. Like
Mhm.
I, I have two kids. I own a business. I have days where I move things. I was supposed to work out at noon today. I'm like, nope, that ain't happening. I got to do boxes, all this stuff. Okay. Moving it to later today. I had to look at my schedule. I had to go strategize. I'm still getting in my workout. And if I didn't today, I'm going to go back to the drawing board and see where I can squeeze it in. But I
Mhm.
have to have that flexibility. Or like you said, if I was dog tired and I actually, you got to be honest with yourself, need a real rest day, I kind of go back. And like, obviously I'm doing this to myself. You guys have it easier. You just say, hey, coaches, what I'm feeling, this, what I need. What's your opinion? And you trust your coach and you know your coach and you like them. So you're like, okay, cool. Fist bump. Here we go. So
Yeah.
yeah, awesome feedback. You crushed it. I really do appreciate you putting in the effort into your program. I know this is going to be really valuable to whoever watches it. And, I appreciate the honest conversation and your feedback. And yeah, that you had a good experience for sure.
I did. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I
Thanks for
appreciate
jumping on and, enjoy the rest of your week and go crush it. Okay.
Thank you. You too. Have a
Thanks,
good
Jen.
one.